And go live. And I'll introduce Andrew. Well, hi, welcome everyone to our first Friday forum. I'm really excited to introduce our guest today. He's Andrew Wiggins, and we work with him at the Florida Chamber all the time, especially during the legislative session. So he is the Senior Director of Political Affairs and Coalitions Advocacy for the Florida Chamber of Commerce. He manages the Florida Chamber's political campaign activity, as well as building coalitions, and he works with local chambers of commerce throughout the state of Florida, including ours. So prior to joining the Florida Chamber, Andrew worked for 10 years as the deputy director of Senate campaigns for the Republican Party of Florida, where he previously spent 3 years working for House campaigns. He's worked on grassroots campaigns all over the U.S., as well as working statewide in Florida for both the executive and legislative branches of government. And he's got a great range of experience from working on Rudy Giuliani's mayoral campaign, works with the U.S. Senate, and for George W. Bush's presidential campaign. He's got more than 25 years of experience electing candidates to House and Senate throughout the state of Florida. Wiggins is a sixth-generation Floridian, as am I, Andrew. He was born and raised in Jacksonville, Florida. He graduated from the University of Florida, me too. We were separated, apparently. He has a BA in history, as well as an MA in political science with a certificate in political campaigning. He's got 2 children, Catherine, who's a sophomore at University of Florida, and Gavin, who's a 10th grader. And before you get started, I just wanted to thank you for always being available to the Delray Beach Chamber and all the chambers throughout the state of Florida and the work that you do on behalf of chambers and our business community. So thank you very much, and I'll hand it over to Andrew.
Absolutely. Thank you, Stephanie. I appreciate it very much. And it's always good to talk with people. We're a resource is what we are, and we try to unite the business community the best we can. Like I tell Stephanie all the time, is we're here to find the places we can work together, which are many places, and focus on how we're chamber strong, how we're much better together than we are on our own. And, there's so many times we'll call and it's like, hey, can you help with your member? Okay. Just because of just things that are, you guys have much better relationships than we do. You're no match. You're a better match than we are when we walk in with our suits, because you see these people, that your electeds back home, like you see Mike Caruso at, at Publix or at dinner or you name it, walking on, any path of life in Palm Beach County. So we appreciate everything, and like I said, we're here to be a resource too, and also just sort of help along the way, because Florida's changing. You guys see it. You guys see it, especially. As you'll see in a minute. You're ground zero for the changes that are happening in Florida, and we see it. So we know our politics are with population changes. It means demographics change as well, and our politics. We've seen our politics change. Won't talk about politics too much on this one. More about legislative, but just know that state's getting redder. Okay. Almost 900,000 more Republicans than Democrats in Florida right now, and that's been an enormous change since in the last 4 years. So, moving on, I always like to talk about how strong we are economically. When we look at Florida, if Florida was its own country, we'd have the 15th largest economy in the world. Our goal is to get to 10th by the end of the decade, 2030, and if our metrics are on line to do that right now. In doing so, if you also look, we'll have another 2.8 million new people living in Florida by 2030, which means we need another 1.35 million more jobs just to keep unemployment at the level it is right now. So we know right now we've got roughly 125 million people who visit Florida annually, which helps our economy. A lot of other states right now are struggling with the not necessarily a recession, but with the inflation that's happening right now, and they're seeing a lot of spending problems, whereas Florida's not. In fact, our budget dollars are going up, our budget's increasing, and then at the same time, we're increasing our reserves. So just know that we're growing, both with people, but also as an economic force moving forward. Like I said, just sort of, you can see we're the 15th largest economy in the world, and just how strong the economy is. We look and see how strong it is. Financial activities, professional business services, and education services are the sectors we see growing, driving GDP the most right now. So I talked about those 2.8 million people moving here by 2030. Look, just sort of looked at, like I said, you're ground zero. Of that 2.8 million, we're anticipating almost 53% are from 5 counties, and surprising no one, you're one of those counties. And your neighbors are some of the others. You got Palm Beach, Broward, and Miami-Dade. You look at that right now, that's closing on a million itself, probably 900,000 people. So just, as we grow, we have to plan for growth. That's what we're doing a lot now with our 2030 plan as well, is looking ahead to how do we prepare for these next people moving in, from how we educate them to our surface roads, just how we transport people. And additionally, we've got a water problem in Florida. A lot of people don't know, South Florida, you probably have a better idea than others, but we've got issues that we're working to address as we continue to keep growing. Growth is a great problem, but it's a problem that comes with things we need to do to prepare for it. So like I said earlier, we just got out of our legislative session. This year was an early year because it's an even year, it's an election year, and so it runs from January to March. When we look to see what this year, just the number of bills that were filed, it was down a little bit. Roughly, just around 2,000 bills were filed. When we look to see, that's down from a normal year. I found it's in my experience that in the election years, there's not as much filed. They don't do as many big things either. If we look back to last year, we had unprecedented lawsuit abuse reform. We had some education reform, and also it's some things happen in those years. And these years they do a lot of important things, but they also don't want to, they're running for re-election, so they want to get home for that. So just sort of looking at some of the major issues that we saw happen this past year. Looking at, we know that it was the year of child continues. More education was on the ballot, was heard by the legislature, from social media protections for children, as well as some initial education reform, bringing private schools and public schools up into to equal footing when it comes to a lot of the regulations. So it was a successful year. So a lot of the issues that were looked at were Senate President Pasadoma's #1 priority, and it's one that all of us have felt, is the healthcare worker shortage we have in Florida. From nurses to doctors, it's a problem, and it's one that needs to be addressed. And I'll talk about it in a little bit, but we see how we've looked at it and are trying to address it to make it easier for people to transition into the healthcare profession, as well as when moving people into Florida and having them look at, not have a lot of red tape when they're trying to find work. More, what about, like I talked about, the school choice, the public school deregulation as well, the social media stuff, and affordability issues, what we'll talk about as well. Not one of us has opened up insurance renewal and not seeing a hit. So just there are issues that they're looking at, and they've been doing a lot of work over the last 15 months. So I'm looking at, sort of putting some safeguards. The legislature put some safeguards in place for excuse me, I can see better. Put some employer certainty in place to sort of protect employers. Miami-Dade was running with a heat ordinance that would have put some guidelines in place for employers, mandating temperatures of water, frequency of when people got water breaks, and just creating a logistical nightmare if it spread throughout Miami-Dade. Think about Florida. We have 67 counties, 411 municipalities. You're in Palm Beach County, so they're you can't, you find there's cities all the time and a lot of different rules and regulations. And so one of the things that our board saw was important was working to make sure that employers had a firm understanding where they were as far as mandating things to protect their workers, and also the employer to employee relationship. Also, this bill eliminate prevailing wages. I believe Palm Beach County is one of the counties where the county often mandates higher minimum wage for contractors than is the normal minimum wage, which drives up costs and increases spending. So that was one of the things the legislature looked at as well, which will take place in 2 years in 2026. Okay. Talked about affordability. One of the things that's happened over the last 15 months is a lot of work has been done to try to stabilize Florida's insurance market. What there are the things that have been done. There's been some savings by cutting some taxes and fees that are in our policies without us knowing. That happened as well. One thing we've seen is with the work that's been that was accomplished, we're seeing more companies come into the market, which is positive. As of yesterday, I think 2 more are added. So since over the last 15 months, we've had 8 new insurers come into the state of Florida, which will help prices eventually go down. So it is, you know, one of the things we know is new participants in the insurance market help us all, because with competition, it will cause all of our rates to go down at some point. Also, you know, looking at some of the regulations, one of the things we noticed is a housing problem. No one here on the call hasn't heard anything about affordable housing. We know that there's a lot of issues as far as getting things built, the affordability of it. What some of the legislation that has passed does is like it's cutting down on the red tape, fast tracking building permits, things like that, to sort of work to reduce the time so that properties can be built, and then it can help with affordability as well. Pass a tax package, $1.5 billion tax cuts to Florida families, more exemptions for property insurance taxes and homeowners. There's a child tax credit was created to give businesses incentives to help their employees with childcare costs. We know right now that childcare is definitely a problem in the state. We know right now, of the people who are leaving the workforce right now, our research has showed us that 50% or more are women leaving the workforce because of childcare costs. So that's something that definitely has to be addressed for us to keep our economy moving. Also, it added some more sales tax holidays, just to return money back to taxpayers in the state, and also extension of a total REIT program. If you use it more than, I think it's 28 times a month, there's savings to anyone who uses like SunPass moving forward. One thing that we still need to work on is the business rent tax. It's a refrain I hear from our members. I know you guys hear from yours, because Stephanie, I've talked about it, is we're the only state in the nation that has this tax where if you pay rent on your business, there's a sales tax added to it. The only state in the nation that does that. Only other area that does is New York City, and their tax policy isn't exactly what ours is. So there's definitely a move to address that and moving forward. We've done a lot of work. So you can look since 2017, we've been able to drop it by 4 percentage points, which is fantastic. As of June 1st, it will drop to 2%. And the move is to try to eventually just get rid of this completely, just because it puts a burden on businesses. It keeps it affects what employers can do as far as spending, hiring new employees or raises or marketing or just anything they do in the community. More money the employers the employer doesn't have to spend on taxes, the more money they can spend on the business. I want to thank you guys for joining our coalition. Like I said, we're able to finish it this time. The House did great work. Mike Russo and Speaker Renner and the team there did a lot of work moving this forward. The Senate did not have the appetite for it. So it's one that we'll continue to working on moving forward. So if you have a chance to speak to your senator, please let them know the business rent tax does mean it's has a lot of value to your members and our members. We also saw some work done on the critical infrastructure issue. What it's done is working to stop tampering, increasing penalties for people that tamper with electronic devices, networks, or anything that affects our infrastructure. So we know our infrastructure is extremely important. It's something we need to do more work on as far as upgrading. Many places we have sewer systems or that haven't been updated in 40, 50 years. So there's more work to be done in infrastructure. Early learning is extremely important to us because we know that early learning is so pivotal and key for children. We know that right now that kindergarten readiness is a new metric that we've started following, and the kindergarten readiness tracks completely with third grade reading scores. And we know that a child will learn to read up until third grade, and then after third grade, they read to learn. So a child that's not reading at grade level after third grade is really at a disadvantage moving forward. And we know there's a much higher likelihood that eventually they will drop out. So high school dropout rates there's a direct correlation to reading scores and the ability to be proficient at reading. So we know there's more school readiness programs were enacted. So, just to, even give rate increases for childcare providers. So this is something we see directly to our foundation untapped potential report. It's extremely important, and we need to address it to really help the state as we continue to move forward. Talked about Live Healthy a little bit earlier. Some of the issues, things that were addressed, expanding medical residency, more linking industry to nursing education, really helping with more nursing education, from funding to having programs that are adaptive and are able to help reach people, in a non-traditional manner. Also, really just helping all along with that. We also, behavioral health is extremely important. We've got a leadership cabinet that we have, and so what we know is mental health is extremely important. We see it. I was with a member last year talking about a hospital, talking about issues they have, and the CEO told me, he mentioned, he's like, in the past, I would have doctors, when the first thing on their mind they would talk about would be, well, what kind of care do you have to help my parents? Now the first thing we hear is, what do you have mental health wise to help my children? Because we know social media is putting more burdens on our kids, on us. It's just an epidemic. Also want to note that next month we'll be having a workforce solution summit down in Coral Springs. It's for our prosperity summit. So I'd love to talk to you guys about that if you have any interest in participating in that. Cybersecurity is key. Putting one of the things that the legislature did was adopt legislation that helps encourage companies to adopt more stringent cybersecurity standards. And in doing so, it would provide some liability protections for companies if they meet national standards. And allowing 1 year to adopt. So it's extreme, as we know, cybersecurity threats are increasing every day. It's important for us as we, try to keep commerce going, try to keep our business going without outside attacks that are meant to do harm. Passed our highest budget ever, a $1.17 billion budget. Really big budget. So I kind of want to put some things in perspective. So Florida is the third largest state in the nation. We have a $117 billion budget. New York is is number 4 behind us. Their budget is about 2.5 times what ours is. So we're able to offer a lot of services to our citizens, but also some tax savings and also the ability to build reserves. One thing COVID taught us is during the COVID crisis, the pandemic, a lot of states had to raise taxes or to really meet the needs of their citizens. Florida was fortunate that we planned for the future and we had money in reserves that kept us from having to raise taxes at the state level. But you can see right now, almost $14 billion to FDOT, just to keep our roads, things moving forward. Everglades restorations there, flood and sea level rise, just a lot of really good, important programs moving forward. One thing that we know that we still do work on is medical malpractice reform. Florida leads the nation in medical malpractice insurance rates, so it's one of the things we need to work on moving forward. And just looking at ways to we always have work. One is to try to defeat things that we believe makes it more difficult on employers and running business. So there's things moving forward. If you look ahead to what we see up ahead, additional lawsuit abuse reform. A lot of that will have to do with our audit rates are still some of the highest in the nation. I talked about medical malpractice reform. The business rent tax is extremely important to us. And then, continuing to focus on childcare and early learning, because we know that's so vital to children learning. And, and the business community cares so much because we have roughly right now 400,000 jobs that aren't being filled in the state. And a lot of it's due to a skills gap. And so we want our populace to be educated, to be skilled, so that your members and our members can find the people that we need here in Florida. And also, I talked about mental health, just the importance of it for all of us, but especially for our kids and for young adults. We will be releasing shortly our how they voted, which will be 2024. That'll be up online. I'd love, Stephanie, I can get you guys a copy of it once we do that. That way you can see how your members, how your local legislators stood on the issues that our board at least has determined is important for Florida. That was a quick look. Stephanie, I'd love to take some questions if anyone has any.
I probably do quickly, and then we'll hand it over. So just to let everyone know, our government affairs newsletter will be going out today, and we're taking a more in-depth look at the Live Healthy bill, because that was one of the biggest pieces of legislation that went out. So look for that this afternoon. And Vivian's done a great job of researching it, and it's a topic near and dear to her heart as working for Henderson Behavioral Health. Also, my other question is, we have a few appropriations requests in from some of our, hold on one second. Could you please mute if you haven't muted already? We've got someone on the phone that we can hear. So if you could mute yourself, that would be great. Thank you. So there's quite a few appropriations requests in from the city of Delray Beach and some other places. And so we're wondering, do you know any of the timeline, when the governor's going to take a look at everything? Is he going to?
From what we've heard, it possibly could be within the next month. Okay. That he's looking at these. They've already started talking about some of the places he may want to do vetoes. Nothing substantive as of yet, but what we anticipate it being in the next month. Probably, hopefully before the middle of May. So that would be helpful. Okay.
Also, I want to bring in Representative Mike Caruso. Mike's one of our Palm Beach representatives to the state legislature, and he wants to be on today. So, Mike, do you want to have a chat, or do you have any questions or comments for Andrew?
Good morning, and Andrew, I don't think I could have done a better job than what you just presented as a summary of the legislation that went on this year. So my hat's off to you.
Thanks, Mike.
Things I'd like to say is, or I could add to it is, with regards to the budget, 117 million, a billion is about almost what it was in 2023.
Yeah.
We have 5 billion in reserves. We're adding, with that budget, we're adding $5 billion more to the reserves. So we'll have 10 billion and in reserves. And we also are paying down half a billion dollars of debt. Over the last 6 years, we've paid down 1/4 of the state's debt. So we're down to about $15 billion in debt. So we're looking very good financially. I'd say the couple areas that we still need to go back on, and you touched on them, was property insurance. We've done a lot with assignment of benefits, got rid of that. We did tort reform, and we set up two-way legal fees. We had one-way legal fees. The insurance companies could get sued, and if they won, they couldn't reclaim their own legal fees. Now they can. That's going to help cut down on some bad litigation that was going on. One bill that I think is important to us, since we're a coastal community, is a clean water bill by Representative Peggy Gossett-Seidman. I prime co-sponsored that bill with her. And what that does is that right now, when there's a bacteria surge caused by in our waterways, whether it's the ocean or the intercoastal or our canals, right now before this bill there was no notification system set up. Basically, we relied on the news channels to come on TV at 5 or 6 or 11 o'clock at night, and if they knew about a wastewater release, or accidental or on purpose, which created high bacteria levels and fecal matter in our waterways. That's the only way we could find out. But now, under the new legislation that takes place, I believe July 1st, we will get cities will have to notify us. The state will have to notify us. Whoever tests that water, the water's going to have to get tested, I believe, every week. And the counties are testing it, and they're going to have to notify the cities, and the cities will have to send out alerts as to those bad, unclean waters. You're spot on about the sales tax, Andrew, on commercial leases. We got it down to where it's going to go down to 2% plus the county surtax. So right now we have a 1% county surtax, so it's going to get down to 3% come June. May even happen next month. Our revenues are so high that we may be able to get that enacted on May 1st. But we tried to get it down to 1.25% from 2. The budget just really wouldn't allow us to do that. And so I'm going to go back and push next year hard, hopefully in leadership, and get that just abated completely. And so the only thing we'll be left with is the county surtax. What other things? You hit on so many things. It was amazing. I think one thing that we need to go back on, in addition to insurance, and continue to address that, is tort reform. You know, I'm driving down 95 right now, and all I see is signs for attorneys. And you know, they can put up, you know, somehow they're the only ones that can afford to put up $5,000 a month signs, billboards. We've got a problem in the state of Florida, and it's causing our rents to be high for commercial and residential leases. You know, the insurance form is going up drastically as a result also. So that's something we need to go back and work on. I think that's in the plans for next year. Let's see. I don't know how much Joe Casello is our current state rep for Delray Beach, and used to be my district, but no longer. So now it got redistricted. Joe Casello's the current rep for Delray Beach. Just wanted to let everybody know he had a stroke towards the end of session, and is recovering pretty well. And he'll be back strong and back at it. You know, fighting hard for the constituents in Delray Beach. Outside of that, that's about all I got.
Mike was thank you so much for your comments, and you're right, absolutely right about our lawsuit abuse problem in Florida. There was some data released last session before we enacted those landmark reforms, that Florida represented about 7% of homeowners claims in the nation, but almost 80% of the lawsuits. So you can see, just from a business standpoint, you can see why we have such high rates. Not to mention, you know, we do have a risk with hurricanes, but yes.
Yeah,
Thank you
and
so much.
until we get that in line, property insurance, we're going to struggle to get it down. And you were right. We've got 8 new companies that have come in, and that's going to create competition more. And you know, not as we almost got to the point where we were Citizens was the sole source insurer, which means, you know, when we say Citizens, we mean the state of Florida, and where the state of Florida was almost the sole insurer of homes throughout the state. We can't have that as a state. So and they were underfunded. So fortunately, the tide has turned the other way. So Andrew, I do have a question for you. What do you think is the main reason for this surge of population increase? You know, people moving to Florida and taking place, and Palm Beach County being one of the destination points of that surge.
Well, you guys are a destination point just because of all the things you have going for you, from your natural beauty on the coast, being in an area where there's a lot, you know, there's a lot going on. When we saw it start in the pandemic, truly, and we you know, and it's actually cut down a little bit. Right now, we have about 2,000 new people who move here a day. Have about 1,250 who either leave the state or pass away, you know, or die. And so we got a net of about 750 new people a day. And one thing we've seen through our data is there's a direct inflection point when Ron DeSantis told people the state was open for business. A lot of other states were still very repressive and their, you know, needing a vax card to go to a restaurant, or, you know, not being outside, or, you know, mask policies or things like that. You know, whether you agree with those or not, that's one thing. But we saw a direct correlation that, you know, whether you like him or you hate him, when he told people they're open, we saw people start coming in droves. And it has a lot to do with what Florida has. You know, we have the number 1 state university system in the country. Our education system is good, and just our tax climate as well. You know, it's, you know, granted, we do know there's a property tax thing. That there are issues there, but when it comes to there's no personal income tax, just sort, and also just the state of our economy, that things are going, well in Florida. We've got an inflation problem right now that needs to be addressed. We got to hopefully, find ways to address that. But yes, it was the economic story, a representative, as well as, just the fact that Florida, offer a lot of options others they didn't have in other states.
Well, I think you're spot on with all of that. I agree with it, and thanks for sharing that.
Mm-hmm.
Mike, thank you so much for joining us today and adding some perspective from your experience up in Tallahassee. Thank you.
I'm excited to go back, and I'll be in my final 2 senior years and in leadership, and looking forward to going back and taking care of these open points, and trying to make sure we can bring back more money for Palm Beach County. I've got about $30 million of appropriations waiting for the governor's signature for Palm Beach County, and everything from the Palm Beach County Zoo to water projects throughout the county, and the Lake Worth Lagoon, the Palm Beach, what did I say, the Cox Center, Science Center, the FAU, that sort of thing. So projects all around, and hopefully the governor will have pity on me or have mercy on me, and not redline my appropriations. I tried to be good to him. I went out and campaigned for him in Iowa at 25 below zero weather. So hopefully he'll remember that.
That should qualify. Thank you so much.
It should. And Tracy almost got a mild frostbite in her toes.
Good Lord.
Yeah, it was that cold at 25 below. Never seen anything like that.
Well, thanks for taking one for the team, Mike. As usual, you're always looking out for us here, so we appreciate it.
Right.
So,
thanks for hosting this.
Thank you. So I think Kay, you had a question?
Yeah, I did. And it has to do with the kindergarten readiness and the bill that did not pass for full day VPK. Here in Delray, we are very concerned because we have very low reading and math scores and very low kindergarten readiness scores. And I know we here locally really advocated for it. I know our teachers, our schools, our city, our ed board felt that really a full day VPK solution is very much needed. I know Palm Beach County schools were very much in favor of doing that. And we just wondered if you could give us some ideas on some of the roadblocks about why everybody seems to think this is a great idea, why this is not really moving forward.
Representative, are you still on? Do you have anything to add on this?
I was disappointed myself that didn't go through. I think the Senate and the House could not get on the same terms of that, and I think it just got negotiated out of the legislation that was passed this year, because the Senate and the House couldn't get on board. Their bills have to be exactly the same, and I think there was some budget, the budget thing. I think it was negotiated away. I think it's something that if we bring it back next year, I think we have a strong chance of getting it passed. We've got Albritton and Perez will be the leaders of the Senate and the House respectively, and I think Danny supports that, Speaker Perez, and I think we have a good shot at bringing it back and getting it passed. I would continue to lobby the House and the Senate, the Speaker and the President, to let them know, remind them how important that is, and how what we do early on in, like Andrew had said earlier, what we do in the early stages of child development, will direct their entire lives. We know that right now the state bases the number of beds they need in prisons based on the reading level of third graders. So that's how important it is. So we know if we get them reading at the proper level, then they become an asset to society and have move on to have successful lives. So it's important that we start them early, and the pre-K and K kindergarten level is one way to do it. I think we know what happens. So lobby hard.
Okay.
We also see it as a workforce issue, right, Kay?
It is.
We see it really as a workforce issue. And I have just one more thing to say to Representative Caruso. Show some love for some of those appropriation bills down here in Delray. If our guy is benched for a little while, don't forget you're from here and show your love for those things that Delray is advocating for.
I do actually. I helped work Joe's appropriations right there at the end. When he did get sick, and had a stroke. So I was busy with the governor's office, the speaker's office, and the House chair, appropriations chair, to let them know how important those appropriations were, and that Joe couldn't be there to support him himself. So
always have our back, Mike.
Well, it's I represent a small part of Palm Beach County, but Palm Beach, I'm all Palm Beach County, so I don't Joe normally I would, if it wasn't Joe Casello, he's that solid of a representative, and I know that he stands in favor with leadership up there in Tallahassee, because he's a good politician. He doesn't really need any help typically, so I didn't want to bounce on his turf. But when he did get sick, I tried to step in and give him a hand. But I've got to sign off right now.
Okay.
I appreciate your time, everybody, and thanks for hosting this great forum. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
Bye-bye.
We'll talk to you soon. So does anyone else have a question for Andrew while we have him? Chime in. Okay. Sounds like you answered a lot of questions, Andrew, and it was helpful to have Mike here too to put some things in perspective. So thank you.
Yeah, and my email is awiggins@flchamber.com. If you guys have any questions, I can do my best to try to find out more information for you on the VPK bill as well, to find out if any impediments we might have known about moving forward, or why it ran into roadblocks. A lot of it does come down to priorities at times, and what the president's pushing and what the Senate, the speaker are pushing, and sometimes bills get lost. No excuse, but I'll see what I can do to find out more information about that, because 100% it lines up with our priority of educating our kids. Our kids have to be ready to go. Just, we already know that they face challenges as it is, from ADHD problems or any kind of learning difficulties. Anything we can do can help them is extremely vital.
That's great. Thanks. So, I actually started an email to you during this session. So
please do, Kay. Please email me. I'd love to at least find out what I can to get back with you. Okay.
Kay is our board chair at the chamber, but she's also development director at the library. So
nice. Okay.
All near and dear to her heart.
Very great.
And I'm also on the city ed board. So
and the Delray Chamber Education Fund.
That's right.
That's right. So Kay has many hats, and a lot of them related to the chamber. So I guess we can let Andrew go, and I can turn it over to David so we can hear from our partners. You're more than welcome to stay. We're just giving
I've got meetings to go to. I appreciate seeing you guys. Please let me know. I love the relationship we have, Stephanie. Just please let us always know how it can be helpful, and I love working together. So you guys have a great day.
Me too. Thank you again.
Okay.
Great. So David, over to you.
Oh, good morning, Stephanie. Thank you. We have some important chamber city partners on our line today. So let's start with Greg Giacconi from the fire department. Good morning, Chief.
Good morning. Can you hear me? Hear me okay?
We certainly can.
Perfect. Good. From the fire department side, we're coming off of a very successful St. Patrick's Day festival and parade that just took place here 2 weeks ago. Again, very successful operation this year. And also upcoming for us, we have an open house planned for Fire Station 114, which is out at 4321 Lake Ida Road, and that's going to be on April 27th, Saturday from 10 to 1. Other than that, we're gearing up. It's budget season for us, so that's kind of occupying a lot of our time. And that's all we have from the fire department.
What are we having on overdoses lately, Chief?
We monitor that monthly, and I would say the trend is, but they're significant.
Did we lose the chief?
Still holding fairly steady where they're at, but again,
Greg, we can't hear you. Greg? Can you,
is that better?
not very much.
All right, I've got to get this changed out.
Now we can.
Okay, I'll give this a shot. Yeah, they're trending down, and they're the lowest they've been in some time. So again, nothing compared to what we experienced many years ago, and things are significantly better, but there's still a very slight problem, but we're consistent with where our partners are elsewhere in the county.
Terrific. Good news is always welcome. So we
Yes.
can go to Ken Edwards. Ken, you still on the call?
Yes.
Good
Good
morning.
morning, everyone.
How's everything in sustainability?
We are very, very busy. It is Earth Month, and first of all, I want to thank Stephanie and the chamber, Chris, the sustainability coordinator, who's on also. Was on Delray Morning Live and got a chance to talk about all of the activities that we have. So we really appreciate that support, and we have a whole calendar of events. I'm going to put that into the chat. Today we have a webinar video with FAU, who is now overseeing the Invading Sea website, and we're going to go through some of their short clips, like 30-second to a minute videos on climate change, science, and effects. So really looking forward to that. I'm going to put that webinar link into the chat also. If you can join us, that starts at 12:15 today. Then on April 8th, we have a video that we made at Atlantic Dunes Park about the ongoing restoration there and recent plantings that went on. On April 12th, we have a tree planting program webinar. Mark Cassini from Community Green is going to join us for that. That's also at 12:15. And on April 15th, we are going to have a green business webinar. Again, appreciate the chamber and partners advertising that. It's a straightforward program. Y'all may recall from a couple of years ago, we put this together. It's simple, but it also can show just how easy in everyday kinds of activities, business and people can make a difference. So hopefully we'll get some good participation there. Then our biggest event in Earth Month is on April 20. We have a beach cleanup. We have a tree giveaway at Delray Beach Historical Society, and we got a lineup of 6 talks at the Cornell Museum. So really appreciate the DDA's assistance with that. Going to have talks on habitat restoration, coral restoration. Have a PhD student from FAU that's going to give a talk on plastic ingestion and some emerging research on endocrine effects of plastic ingestion. Chris is going to be given 2 talks on energy modeling. That's really going to be a focus for the next few months leading up to Climate and Art, where we're going to give straightforward information on how you can tell how your energy usage is and energy savings. And going to wrap up with a presentation I'm going to make on the climate action planning going forward. Also on April 25th, the city town hall meeting is going to have a good section on climate action plan. So lots going on. I've taken some of the time from past meetings to talk about our Earth Month events, but we're really happy with those and hope that you'll join us on put those links into the chat. And
Wow, that's really terrific, Ken. You're really earning your money this month. So I remember the first Earth Day was at 1970, I believe.
Yeah.
That was quite a new concept back then, and I guess that makes me an old guy if I remember the first Earth Day. We learned to love Mother Earth. You have a new assistant you want to introduce?
Yes, Chris, I thought he was on last month with y'all.
Yes, he was. I don't think David was though. David
Oh,
hasn't had him
okay.
yet.
I was away last month. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Does Chris want to say
David,
something?
nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Oh, nice to meet you as well. Yeah, I've just started in the early January. So, just spent a lot of time catching up, but, we're moving forward with trying to benchmark some buildings and, getting through this month. But I think some of the things that Kent and I have been talking about are pretty exciting. We'll have a lot to share in the coming months.
Oh, well, welcome. I'm sorry I missed you last month, and maybe you can come to one of our Advocacy Government Affairs Committee meetings and we can talk further. Let's go now to Christine Tibbs from the CRA. You there, Christine? Ringing the bell. I don't know. You're on mute. Can't hear you. Nope. Can't hear you.
There's some kind of weird sound thing. Try again.
Why don't we come back to Chris and we'll go to Michael Corbett from Career Source.
Sure, thank you. I just want to tell you, Stephanie and the city of Delray Beach did a great job last week with an automotive job fair that we did at Old School Square. I think we had 12 dealerships that showed up. We had a pretty good turnout for the first time. And Stephanie is working on a healthcare career day that we hope to take place in May with the school district in our support and other partner support. So these career days that we're doing for high school students are becoming very popular. So I think this is a good thing. We want to keep our high school and college students in Palm Beach County. So thank you.
You're so welcome. I've really been enjoying working on this project this year. It's one of our biggest projects that we've talked about before. So we started with automotive. Next is healthcare. Towards the end of the year, it'll be hospitality. Those are three of our biggest employers. And what we're trying to do is get our high school students that live in our community directed, if they didn't want to go to university, directed into really high paying, good jobs that they can get right out of high school. So healthcare, there's quite a few in healthcare. We'll be starting the tour with these kids at Bethesda, which is exciting. Oh, and Kent, yes, we've been working with you too. Go ahead.
Yes, thank you, Stephanie. Michael, it was good to meet you at the fair. And also just wanted to mention that we are moving forward with submitting the grant to the Energy Efficiency and Community Block Grant Program for Workforce Development. Really think that's going to be an important part of developing green buildings, that we have workers that not only understand how to caulk and what the importance of insulation and windows and that kind of thing are, but why it leads to greenhouse gas reductions. With our ordinance and our workforce trained, I think we can be a focal point of green buildings, and that really is the beginning of all kinds of climate preparation. So it was good to see you, and looking forward to working together with the educational partners on workforce development.
Yeah, all of our city partners are working on this year. It's a great initiative. I'm excited about it. Oh, Christine joined by phone. David, do you want to see if we can get her update from the CRA?
Can we hear you, Christine?
Hi, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Sorry, I'm not sure what went wrong with my computer, but I'll have to check on that. So just a couple updates from the CRA. We have our annual report out. So 2023 annual report just got published. It's available on our website right now, the digital copy, but we'll be dropping off physical hard copies to different locations. Certainly the chamber will get some. And so those will be around the city shortly. We also have our next CRA social is a little bit out, but we wanted to start, getting the word out. It will be with the city, and it's going to be July 25th, 5 p.m. at the Field House at Old School Square. So we'll be doing that in partnership with the city as well. And then lastly, the summer green market application will be going out. So if you know of anybody that might want to be part of the summer green market, that starts June 1st and runs through July 27th, that should be put on our website shortly as well. But that's it from the CRA. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. So Stephanie, that brings us back to you, and some things going on this month in the chamber, maybe a couple small things.
So we're all Delray Fair all the time as of now. So next Friday, most of the staff will be in around 4 in the morning, and FMG will be doing the load in on Friday morning. So Delray Fair takes place Friday from 10 to 6, Saturday from 10 to 6, and Sunday from 10 to 5 p.m. We have vast amount of new artists and crafters that are coming in. So you'll see less of the buy sell and a lot more art, which is very exciting. And of course, we'll have the beer tent and the food, the giant food hall area, which is on Swinton. And then the beer garden with entertainment goes on all weekend long in front of the Cornell Museum. So we're really excited about the Delray Fair, hoping for good weather. I hope it cools off a little and it will be just like today, because today's a beautiful day. So we're looking forward to that. We also have a couple of events that are taking place. We have our new member jumpstart on the 18th. That's where our new members get to learn all there is to know about the chamber. Contacts and Cocktails is going to be at Thoreau Social on April 18th, and YPAD is going to visit the Murakami at the end of the month. So we've got a lot of things scheduled, and I wanted to put this on your radar. I think it's May 9th is our membership breakfast. We have them twice a year in spring and fall. This year's subject in spring is going to be technology. So we're going to have a lot of our members that are that have technology as part of their business, but we're also going to have the police department with their real-time crime system. They're going to show people in our parking garage. We're going to talk about technology of the parking all around the town, which is kind of interesting. Brainstorm is a new chamber member. We just did a grand opening with them, and they do really interesting things with brain scans. So the membership breakfast is going to have a lot of really interesting presentations. So we hope that you join us for that. And that's, I think, May 9th. So that's all I have for my updates today. Anybody else have anything to report? No? So if not, then we will see you all at the Delray Fair starting next Friday. And thank you so much for joining us today, and we'll see you soon.
Have a great weekend.
Thank you. Bye, guys.